Okay, welcome everyone. We might get started and try and stick to the strict time schedule. We need to finish at 5:30. So welcome to the Centre for Cancer Research Information session. My name's Jason Kane. I'm a research group head in the Centre for Cancer Research. To start with, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Just a reminder to everyone that's on the call that it is being recorded. And also for all the attendees, if I could ask that you could please keep your microphones and cameras turned off throughout. If you do have questions, feel free to type them into the chat function at any time during the next 20-25 minutes, and we will read them out and address them one by one at the end of the session when we have Q&A time, question answer time. Of course, anyone that's on this information session is more than welcome to attend other centre information sessions. And during the course of this half hour, we will post the links to the next session, which is the Centre for Endocrinology and Metabolism. So that'll go into the chat function. And we'll also put in a link to the student information booklet that will have all the information hopefully you could possibly want in terms of honours and PhD projects, including the contacts for the individual labs and projects within that. It'll also explain how to get in touch with the supervisors and any other administrative questions. On that note, I am going to pass on to the Centre for Cancer Research Head, Ron Firestein, who will introduce you into the centre. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cancer Center information session. So the Cancer Center is one of the 5 centers at the Hudson Institute of Medical Research. And one of the, I think, real advantages or exciting opportunity to work in the Cancer Center is our co-location with the Monash Medical Center. So this is really physically facilitated by a bridge linking the hospital to our center, and gives us an opportunity to interact closely with clinicians and also ask questions that are clinically relevant. So you'll see going through the different projects within the Cancer Center across the 9 research group heads here that really there's 2 main facets to the kinds of projects that we deal with. And those really center around both identifying the basic mechanism of what kinds of genes and pathways drive cancer, but also at the same time using clinical samples to get to the therapeutic relevance and bridge the gap between the bench to the bedside. And with that in mind, we actually have a couple of biobanks located within the Cancer Center that are embedded in the programs. One example is the ovarian cancer biobank. The other one is related to our pediatric cancer program. Next slide. So I think one of the strengths of working here is really the diverse and cutting edge techniques that we utilize. And these are shown here as our areas of technical expertise. Many of our projects involve both wet laboratory components, and that includes target identification, so identifying genes or proteins that are important for driving cancer growth, and includes techniques such as functional genomics using CRISPR-Cas9 or RNAi technology to look at the consequences of knocking out a particular gene, or even doing this in genome scale and looking through genome-wide type of knockout screens. We use a variety of imaging technologies to look at the phenotypic consequences of pathways in cancer. And also importantly, as mentioned before, with our collaborations in the clinical side, we look very closely at patient material as well, both tissues as well as liquid samples. So of course, each of these will be very specific to the relevant projects that you'll find. But I think it's important to note that many of these technologies are really cutting edge and exemplify the resources that we've invested in the center. Next slide. So I will now turn it over to Claire, who will talk about the different projects and supervisors.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Hi, everyone. My name is Claire. So this slide's really here list showing you our group heads and also supervisors who have available research projects. So they're recruiting students for next year. List here are brief research interest and then projects of the groups. As you can see, we have quite a variety of different cancer indications. So I will quickly run through this. Ron, as you know, has interest in colorectal cancer, and also he leads the pediatric precision medicine program here in the cancer center, especially the expertise in the functional genomics and precision medicine to understand the fundamental mechanisms in these cancers and diseases. And Jason, his group look at epigenetic and developmental pathways that how can they are regulated and therefore how can be targeted for the treatment of the cancer. So as far as I know, this involves using models in pediatric cancers, bone cancers, and liver cancers. Me and Paul, both of us from Pediatric Precision Medicine Group. So we aim to help treat pediatric cancer by finding more vulnerable targets and the biomarkers. So we have projects that are purely based on the computer biology, so bioinformatics, and also in the wet lab to validate the mechanisms and then the treatments. Chunhua, postdoc in Ron's group, has interest in understanding the transcriptional regulation in colorectal cancer. Jim and George are our experts in immunology and hematology. They have long-standing interest in hematology and such as hemoglobin disorders. Andrew's group has a long-standing interest in understanding the tumorigenesis of ovarian cancer, especially the BRCA1 and BRCA2 focused cancer models. Dan's group is primarily interested in lung cancer and also focus on JAK-STAT signaling in cancer metabolisms using more biochemical approaches. Minnie's group has interest in RNA biology in cancer and primarily focused on colorectal cancer models. Her current projects are looking into microRNA regulation in the colorectal cancers. Wilson Wong's group particularly interested in the structural biology and inflammation in cancer. So they have high resolution microscopies to look into the protein structures and then understand how the structure of different protein can contribute to tumorigenesis. So next slides. What will you get from research training at Cancer Center and at Hudson Institute? So during the journey of your honors or PhD project, apparently you will be qualified with biomedical research skills. You will lead your research project, you ask questions, and you find the answers. Of course, it will be supported by many aspects, including training in the state-of-the-art research platforms, technologies, and instruments. Ron has mentioned some during the early presentation. To name some of them, we have whole genome CRISPR library and drug library with more than 2,000 compounds. We also have extensive collection of cell line models, organoids, and mouse models of cancer. And then we also have sophisticated and next generation instrument technologies just available on the floor. So as I can remember, we have Crayon electron microscopy. We have all the qPCR machines and protein biochemical instruments, and that will make your research very easy and process very smoothly. And more importantly, I think, is after your training here, you will be trained with more advanced critical thinking skill and writing and presentation skills. Those are the key things will help you do more research and in the later stage. And also at last, you will be networking with colleagues that all aim to improve human health, especially cancer. Here to find more the most urgent unmet needs in different type of cancers and find the answer for treating or help understand those cancers using translational research approaches. So with that, I think we can process to the next slide. This will be Shay.
Hi everyone, my name is Shay. I'm a first year PhD student in the Developmental and Cancer Biology Laboratory in the Centre for Cancer Research under Dr. Jason Kane. I completed my honours last year in the same lab group, and my honours project studied the epigenetic dysregulation in a paediatric brain cancer called diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. I enjoyed my time in the Centre for Cancer Research and the Hudson so much that I decided to continue my project into a PhD, which is what I'm currently doing. And I am also the 2021 president of the Hudson and School of Clinical Science Student Society. If you're interested in undertaking your honours, the first step you need to do is find a supervisor, and most importantly, find a supervisor with a project that you're interested in. You can find a supervisor and their project in the Hudson Centre booklet. The Centre for Cancer Research booklet for 2022 has just been linked in the chat, or you can find the other centre booklets on the Hudson website under the student tab. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself. All supervisors' emails and their projects are provided in the booklet, and they're all waiting for you to email them. Make sure to ensure that it's a good fit. It's really important to have a supervisor and research that you feel fits your needs and your background, as well as your supervisor's expectation. You can do this by organising to meet the supervisor on Zoom or in person and discuss your potential project. Also, I would recommend meeting the research group and touring the research space and lab. It's a really great idea to get a look of what your honours project is going to look like. And then if you're excited, I highly encourage you to sign up, because honours is such a great year. I had a great time. It's a great way to expand your scientific skills, knowledge, career opportunities, and build wonderful professional and social friendships. So on that, I'll be handing over to Maria, who will be talking about her time as a PhD student. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. I'm Maria. I'm a second year PhD student at the Centre of Cancer Research. My lab group is the Ovarian Cancer Biomarkers Group, so I'm under supervision of Andrew Stevens and Marie Bilancic. So my work focuses on characterizing the litter cell transcriptome in ovarian cancer. And what this means is that we're looking at a cell population that is chemo-resistant, so that means that they're enriched following chemotherapy. And what we want to know is that what are their secret pathways that they use, what are their secret weapons, how do they communicate with the other cells to promote their tumor functions. So techniques that I've been using is bioinformatics to identify these pathways, and then validation methods like real-time PCR and flow cytometry, just to give you an idea. So my most important advice for you guys would be to find a supervisor and project that excites you. And the most important advice that I got as an undergrad, and I'm always passing on, is that you have to choose your supervisor before you choose your project. So as much as a project excites you, you have to choose your supervisor first, because you could have the most important and exciting project in the world, but if your supervisor is not supportive, then you will struggle to finish it. So meet with the supervisors and the research team. So as Shay said, it's a good idea to always visit the labs, visit the facilities, just to get an idea of how things work and how things are spaced out here, and make sure it's a good fit. You can apply online. You will have to have a complete English proficiency and research qualifications check. And if the supervisor agrees to support your application, so this will include checking research and academic referees. So with this, it would be good if you have done any experience in your undergrad, so for example, any internship. So all of this will count. If you have any publications during that internship, so all of this is important for your application. And then the scholarship application rounds is the 31st of October and 31st of May for domestic, and the 31st of March and 31st of August for international. And that is all from me, and I'll pass it on to Marie.
Hello everyone. So we're fielding questions in the chat box and we'll do our best to get to them, so don't be shy. All of us here at the CCR are relatively approachable, and we're thankful to each of you for taking the time to come and join us here tonight. As the girls have mentioned just before, there are links within the chat to the Student Project Handbook. So if you head over to the handbook, you can search for a project that excites you and then arrange to meet potential supervisors. The contact details are provided within the book. We've also put down Steph Foreman's email address, which is a general Centre for Cancer Research contact, and Steph can help direct you to the right lab to field some of your questions. So don't be shy. Maybe Jason, I haven't got any questions in the chat. So are there scholarships for honours, and if so, when do they open? I know that there are regional scholarships available for students that are from regional areas, but in general, I don't think there are scholarships for honours students. You'd probably have to check with the university to see what's open there. If anyone else has got something to add to that? No? Anyone?
Marie, can I ask a question of you?
Of course,
to
Jason.
get some things going. So,
Yes.
what if I think I want to do honours or a PhD, but I'm not really sure what I want to do it in.
Right.
But I'm interested in cancer, but I don't know what kind. What would you suggest I do?
I think the great thing about the Centre for Cancer Research is that each and every one of us work with each other. So even though we work on different types of cancers, we all generally tend to work together. So you can approach a number of potential supervisors, and then we can sort of identify, hang on a second, I'm really interested in genetic signatures or epigenetics. And I'd be like, Jason would be the right guy to go to for this particular project. So we're happy to facilitate introductions within the CCR. And also, again, as Maria said, I think it's really important that you meet with your potential supervisor. It's a whole year that you're going to be working with someone. Honours is a completely intense year. So you need to have the right person to work with. I think that would probably be my best suggestion.
Thanks, Marie.
To answer, just to follow up on the scholarship for honors, I'm not aware of specific scholarships either, but I noticed that some projects, they do come with a stipend, so you can check on that as well. It should be noted in the supervisor project details.
So Andre's also got a really good question. With COVID restrictions, we can't really meet to tour labs. Do you think we could get a good idea of the experience from Zoom alone? Probably not. No, I wouldn't say so. So I think we can get permits for people to come in if you're potentially interested in doing honours, and it would just be like one-to-one. So again, start that conversation with people that you're potentially interested in being as supervisors. Is that right?
Yeah, I might just jump in, Marie, as well. So because this has obviously happened a little bit last year because of the lockdowns. So during the lockdowns, it's a little bit difficult to get people into the lab, but certainly I encourage you to start the discussions with potential supervisors. And as soon as it's possible, we can certainly have you in the labs. And, you know, until a couple of weeks ago, we could have easily had you in the lab for a tour.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to do the same.
Yeah. Emily, I'm not entirely sure if you want to jump in. For a master's by research, does internship count if there was no writing / publications involved? I did do lab and image analysis work throughout. So I'm not entirely sure about the criteria for master's by research, but I think any form of experience that you had obviously boosts your eligibility for doing a master's. So I'm pretty sure that that would count. Ron or Jason, would you be better qualified to answer?
I actually don't know the answer to that either, Marie, but
Yeah.
I would encourage you to perhaps contact the Monash Student Research Office, and they would be able to give you some absolute definitive information.
I think it counts as experience, so it's not a negative thing. And Sophie, Andre has answered, there is a Monash University Jubilee on his scholarship, by the way. And I'm pretty sure that Amy Wilson from our group, Dr. Amy Wilson from our group, was a recipient of one of those because she was coming from a regional area. So Sophie, I know you, so you can maybe ask Amy if you ever get to come in.
Can I also just jump in on Sophie's question? If there is no other scholarship or you don't get one as a honours student, you do qualify for funding from the government under Centrelink still as a student, which is what I did during my honours. So without a scholarship, you could still possibly apply for that.
I didn't know that. That's great, Shay. Thank you. Any other questions or anything you can think of? I think there is another session that's beginning, and we're going to pop the link for that next session in here. We've still got a couple of minutes left, but inevitably you're going to think of questions as you walk away. So please, everyone here is relatively approachable. So please feel free to send us an email, and we can organize to, meet or put you in the right direction. Anything else that you can think of? No? So anyway, once again, from all of us at the CCR, thanks for taking the time to come here via Zoom, and we look forward to actually seeing you in person. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.